bombing St. Petersburg and Moscow. Idris.
Damn your height.
Oh, well, for fuck's sake.
Fuck, it's hot.
Verka, let's run home.
Please take this down.
To mess with them, just...
Fucking nothing, just one.
One drone into the reservoir. One drone crashed in the field.
Hit it! Fuck, hit it! Right here, closer! So it's clear that Zhenya is asking. Yeah, and then what are you doing?
Damn. The people of Moscow are crying and feeling completely devastated. Damn. The center of Moscow is exploding.
Shot it down.
Yeah, shot it down.
For the teeth. Ow!
What even happens there anyway?
It's burning here, and the trees around are already on fire, too. Water is flying right above us.
Collapse in Moscow and St. Petersburg. More than 600 drones are attacking Russian cities.
This is the kind of horror that's happening here. It's been burning for 20 minutes already. I don't see a single fire truck, not a single person. Is there supposed to be an evacuation or what, really? This is terrible. And what if everything blows up here right now?
The armed forces of Ukraine are launching attacks against Moscow, St. Petersburg, as well as strategic nuclear airfields. Another one
just exploded. Wow. Yeah, somewhere nearby it's all happening here.
Yeah, somewhere nearby it's all happening here.
60,000 Muscovites are stranded in airports without electricity, communication, or internet. Moscow, St. Petersburg, and 30 cities across Russia. It's been going on for more than a day without a break. We are attacking Moscow and the regions. There's a collapse in Moscow's airports. More than 200 flights have been cancelled. Muscovites are panicking in tears. There is no food, cafes and ATMs are closing. A stampede has started.
What are we supposed to do now?
Send a representative.
A representative will come. He should arrange for you to stay with hosts.
Certainly, of course.
You paid money, why? Still lying here for 10 hours now. Well, no, because I mailed...
Not. So are we already there?
I've been trying to communicate properly and call for a whole day. Respect me, I'm managing.
Will there be any life at all or not in the end?
It's not working out properly. It's not working out.
Lightning, friends, and Russia is exploding in...
This is the historic city center of Moscow, which stands as the vibrant cultural and political heart of the nation.
Right at this very moment, numerous airfields and strategic runways are burning intensely, littered with smoking debris from destroyed Su-34s and Il-135s.
Wow, that is absolutely... That is just...
Moscow and St. Petersburg are paralyzed. More than 200 flights have been delayed. Crowds collapse, shouting, panic at the airports. Moscow, St. Petersburg, the Moscow region, and the Leningrad region were subjected to a massive drone attack last night. At the airports of St. Petersburg and Moscow, there is a crush, panic, collapse, and chaos. More than 200 flights have been delayed for a whole day. The Russians can't take off. Communication failures across the entire country. Mobile internet is down. Because of Russian electronic warfare, drones are attacking Moscow and St. Petersburg. Trains have stopped. A series of large explosions in the Leningrad region. A strike on the Engels 2 nuclear airfield, the base of strategic aviation. It was attacked. Ammunition depots with aerial bombs are exploding. This is the work of the SBU, the main intelligence directorate, and the armed forces of Ukraine. Special Operation Dina continues. The country is coming apart at the seams, the Kremlin is silent, and the security forces are disoriented. We will discuss all this with top analyst Alexander Demchenko right now.
Hello, Dasha. Hello, everyone.
What do you think of the news?
It seems to me that soon all of Russia will sink. It's just not clear in what. Maybe even in blood. Maybe even in blood. either at the hands of Vladimir Putin or, as they say, the belly button will come undone, and in the end, all of Russia will be flooded. Flooded for a reason, because of this criminal war. The Ukrainian campaign will only escalate. The campaign to undermine the advance of Russian troops has stalled. The Sumy region has stalled. The southeastern direction is gradually stalling. And we can actually see that this is a major success. What the armed forces of Ukraine, the security service of Ukraine, the military, and other Ukrainian intelligence agencies are doing right now. This is extremely important. Right now, all opportunities are being undermined. I wouldn't be surprised if soon ships are simply blown up, if they are sunk. Of the Russian Pacific Fleet, submarines will be sunk. More fighter jets, bombers as well. They struck the Sukhoi jets, they struck Engels Air Base. They're starting to hit back. And do you know why, Dasha? Because if Trump stopped the weapons, now there are no agreements and no obligations at all. Previously, it was forbidden to strike Russian bases deep inside Russia with American weapons. You remember, right? All those bans from Biden and Trump? But now there's nothing. Did you cancel them? Did you give Putin the green light? Well then, Ukraine also believes it's been given the green light. That means it's allowed to strike, and strike everywhere. And there will be strikes on Moscow, on St. Petersburg, on Leningrad, on Moscow, and on other regions. On Siberia, on Primory, and so on. Down the line, for everything that's been done. And I'll go even further. I know that in the next 10 days, Malyuk is preparing a terrible response for Kyiv. There will be a terrible retaliation in Russia for Kyiv. Expect surprises. There will be a lot of them in the next 10 days.
Yesterday, as I was watching those videos and preparing for our broadcast, I was thinking about the huge crowds and chaos at the airports in Moscow and St. Petersburg. They're all shouting, they're screaming, someone is even playing music. It reminded me of the Titanic, when before dying, they decided to play music and dance. And then communication failures all over the country. But essentially, our drones have done, in the two largest cities of Russia, Moscow and St. Petersburg, there is a colossal collapse at the airports. So what happens next? How did you see this?
Next come terrorist attacks, Dasha. You mentioned the Titanic, so now we need to play Malita. You know that famous song from the Titanic? Right in all the airports every single day, so that they hear it and get used to it. The traitor. But you see, Dasha, here's the thing. The thing is, after this, with Vladimir Putin, it's unclear who dropped their pants. In front of whom? Was it Trump in front of Putin or Putin in front of Trump? And waved them around, using Masha Zakharova's language, his equipment. So after that, Putin needs to force events. He needs to escalate. It's obvious that Trump and Putin didn't come to an agreement. It's clear that the deal is over. Witkoff, now bitten by a goose for those gestures in America, is talking about the need to lift energy sanctions from Russia. Yes, Putin doesn't care. He couldn't care less. I'll even put it that way. Vladimir Putin doesn't care about energy sanctions or fertilizer sanctions. He doesn't care. He couldn't care less about anything, Dash. He will continue the war. A new season is coming, a new stage of the war. A bigger war is coming, a global war. After the statement by China's top diplomat Wang Yi, who said that they will not let Russia lose. And after the statement by Secretary General Rutte, who indicated if, when China attacks Taiwan, in the near future, if she gives the order to Volodya Putin to strike Europe and attack Europe, that's it. You can forget about everything. The war stopped being regional a long time ago, and now it's already at its peak. The war has become global. And further, since Vladimir Putin wants to escalate the situation to scale it up, and he is being pushed by China, he will do the following. First, he will organize bloody reprisals in Russia. You can already see it. For example, the vice president of Transneft fell out of a window, accidentally jumped. He was the 10th one. Already,
I think he lived on the 11th floor, but he jumped from the 13th or 17th.
he made it, you see? Somehow he made it. It's unclear how the FSB guys threw him out. This is already the 10th one, even just in the last few years. Just imagine, we wake up in the morning, Lavrov has been arrested, Peskov fled Moscow with secret documents, Shoigu hanged himself. Can you imagine? Putin climbed into the fridge, or rather, Medvedev climbed into that very fridge instead of Putin, the same one from which that propagandist drank kefir. The Russian Pasha Zarubin, a cursed centimeter. So, if we continue this thought completely seriously, then next will come terrorist attacks, infighting, repressions. People will be falling out of windows en masse all over Russia. They are already preparing extra train cars heading towards Siberia. Why? Labor camps. Convicts. It all continues. The 155th Brigade. This week is very important for this brigade. Isn't that right, Dasha? The 155th Brigade was recently destroyed, eliminated, literally just in the past few days by the Ukrainian armed forces, by Ukrainian special services, on the territory of the Kursk region. The deputy commander of the Pacific Fleet of the Russian Federation was in the Kursk region, along with 11 other representatives of the High Command. The 155th Brigade was wiped out after being hit by HIMARS by the Ukrainian armed forces. It's noteworthy that this Mikhail Gudkov, deputy commander of the Pacific Fleet and commander of the 155th Brigade, sat for many years covering up the most terrible crimes committed throughout the entire territory of Russia. For many, many, many years. Primory, the 155th Brigade, which killed people in Bucha, in Hostomel, and in Ripin, carried out massacres here and has already been completely replaced 3 times because Putin has always used it as cannon fodder and continues to do so to this day. So, in Primory, for those who don't know, these guys, they consider them the most terrifying military unit in all of Russia. The hazing there is unbelievable, Dasha. The hazing is so severe, just so you understand. They behead conscripts there in Primory. They cut off the heads of guys aged 18 to 21, bury them in the forest, and beat them to death. These are all those thugs. And the whole country knows about it. All of Russia, all of Primory. And no one does a damn thing. Nothing at all. They're afraid of Putin, of the FSB. Some damn unit, some damn 155th Brigade. Rise up, the whole region, rise up, just twist their heads off, beat them to hell with shovels, beat that Mikhail Gudkov. Ukraine and the armed forces of Ukraine did the dirty work for them. Just like Israel did all the dirty work for Iran now. But nevertheless, so for the 155th Brigade, it's a holiday. Zhuganov, I thought he was dead. I thought he was a goner, that he was already dead, Zhuganov. No, he showed up. He showed up and said we need to cancel it. All those Khrushchev decrees. No, we shouldn't condemn the cult of personality. Stalin is alive and will live on, an order from the Kremlin. So mass repressions, mass executions, imprisonments, another gulag bombing of Ukraine, he will intensify and scale all of this in the near future. That's why, friends, we need to respond to the siren, respond to any possible sounds, warnings. But the most important thing, Dasha, is the terrorist attacks. Terrorist attacks across the whole country, first and foremost in Moscow and St. Petersburg. For what purpose? That's why he will blow up Gum, or he will blow up Prechistenka, or he will blow up, I don't know, a stadium somewhere in the Russian Federation, or even airports. Let me explain. Because it is necessary to abandon contract mobilization, to abandon the contract army. Everything needs to be switched to unpaid service. Why? Putin no longer has money left for the war. There's nothing left. Right now, the Americans are imposing sanctions. With or without Trump, the Americans are imposing sanctions. Congress is imposing sanctions. That's already clear. Abramovich is bringing in money right now at this very moment, these days, from America. The Americans are imposing sanctions. The Russian economy will get even worse. Even worse. It will start to shake. There's already a mess there called a recession. And what happens next? But money is needed for the war, and the defense industry is needed, and manpower is needed. So where do you get the money? Take it from the manpower, send them to war for free, and transfer everything I'm talking about to Rostec, to Rosoboron. How do you do that? You need to provoke some kind of explosion from within. How do you provoke an explosion? Organize mass terrorist attacks. They'll blow up apartment buildings. They'll blow up the Moscow metro. They'll blow up Ostankino. They'll blow up whatever they want. Even Red Square together with the mausoleum if they want. He even took Lenin out of the mausoleum just in case, so he wouldn't be lying there nearby. He closed the mausoleum, now he'll blow up the mausoleum. I don't know, what difference does it make what it is? There will be mass terrorist attacks all over the country and all over Russia. Absolutely everything will be blown up. And then they'll blame it on Ukraine. And that's how they'll start a new stage of the war in the near future.
For us, the Kerch Bridge is an important target for elimination. What will happen if we damage it very badly?
It's important for Putin. Because then all of Russia will see that he's got nothing, that he can't do anything. Why are there explosions happening in Donetsk right now? Why are missiles flying at Donetsk, at the Donetsk region? Because Putin took away the anti-missile, anti-aircraft, and air defense systems from there and sent them to Crimea. He left it completely exposed. Donetsk, the Donetsk region, there were strikes on Kharkiv. It was destroyed. The 8th Combined Arms Army decapitated, without generals and without colonels. That's what's left of it. Recently, Ukraine delivered another catastrophic strike against them. Against the Russian army. So what? Now Crimea is exposed, or rather Donetsk is. And he sent everything to Crimea for protection. Why? He was afraid of missiles. that the Black Sea Fleet base would be destroyed, that the remaining ships would be destroyed, that everything would be destroyed. Everything he has been building there for more than 10 years in the occupied Ukrainian Crimea, driving his own Russians, his own fellow citizens there as cannon fodder, as a human shield. Who, by the way, are actually just like him. It's just incomprehensible. Who is the continuation of whom? Is Putin the continuation of Russia, or are Russians the continuation of Putin? Do you understand? Because they support all of this. If they were losing, they would be whining and blaming Putin. But now, when Putin is bombing Ukraine, every single day, relentlessly, and Trump turns a blind eye to it, they rejoice, they celebrate. Remember how they were shouting in the Kursk region when Putin was bombing them from the air, right? Oh, what for? And now how they're shouting in the Rostov region? Oh, what do we have to do with this? Why are we being targeted? We supported Prigozhin. We gave him flowers and sweets when he was marching on Moscow. But when you were sending your soldiers and lining up in streams, in rows, holding hands, supporting Putin and his troops in uniforms, back then you marched in little backpacks to conquer Ukraine, to occupy Kyiv in 3 days. Scoundrels, you were somehow happy and rejoicing. That was when your Russian winter began. And you got punched in the face. And you keep getting it. And you continue to get punched in the face. So now Ukrainian missiles are striking Crimea. British and French missiles are striking as well. The NATO summit has borne certain fruits. Apparently, the Europeans have given permission to hit Crimea hard. Putin knows this. But he doesn't have the strength or resources to defend Crimea. If he tries to defend it, that huge Ukrainian peninsula, then he'll have to expose his rear positions. That's why Engels, that's why everything else. He decided to direct everything to Crimea. He sent it and he got what was coming to him. Ukraine is being tracked very well by military intelligence, the SBU, other intelligence agencies, foreign intelligence, and so on. They are monitoring everything very closely. So what is happening in terms of the redeployment of various types of weaponry? And they understand perfectly well where a strike can be delivered right now. In the near future, there will be catastrophic strikes, a catastrophic, deadly, and fateful blow to Russia.
Yes, Malyuk and Budanov, I'll soon be sending greetings to the Russian dictator. Friends, we discussed that Borisogledsk has been blown up, a base with guided aerial bombs, and Russian aircraft has been destroyed. I spoke from the heart about Russia's strategic aviation. Also, bomb depots have been destroyed and NGS-2 has been attacked. There are always crowds and chaos around him. In the past 24 hours, the number of delayed flights across Russia, including Moscow and St. Petersburg, exceeded 200. And it's clear that the massive internet outage was all caused by Ukrainian-friendly drones, which Sobyanin is trying to catch with his bare hands. Himself?
Wait, hold on. We have nothing to do with the internet here. We're not the ones shutting it down. It's those buddies of theirs who are blocking it. Bayanin, Putin, the FSB guys, and all the rest. What for? It's necessary so that Muscovites don't know a damn thing, so that the capital stays silent and asleep. They've already set records. They've shut down the internet, I don't know, about 100 times in the past year in key cities and regions of Russia, if not more. In other words, they've just gotten the hang of it and are now turning it into a routine operation. Why are they doing this? One fine day, the internet will disappear in Russia. Russia will curl up into a cocoon and fall into a lethargic sleep. And even a flood won't help. Everyone will just sleep through the flood. A bloody one called Putin. Putin. He will bomb everyone. He opens his beloved Pushkin and reads The Bronze Horseman. There, in the end, everyone went mad. The same fate awaits him in the end. At the end of Vladimir Putin's path. Dmitry Lvovich Bykov says that he will disappear. But I say that first he will go mad, and only then will he disappear. And right before our eyes,
I hope that his daughter, who is working on prolonging his youth and life, will inject him with some drug that will make him disappear. They'll just mix something up, because as I understand it, he's involved in... As I understand it, Putin is actually growing organs for himself for future transplants. From what I gathered, is that what he's doing in that clinic? Sagas.
I don't know what organs they have there. He's cultivating them. But Dasha, listen, maybe he needs other organs too, but listen. I think he has two candidates for these purposes, and he doesn't even need to take anything from himself. No genes at all. There's Shoigu, there's Medvedev. Just mummify them like that, preserve them, and then take Shoigu's cheeks for yourselves. Why pay money? Why pay money for all that plastic surgery, inject yourself with Botox or whatever else he's injecting himself with? So, Shoigu's cheeks, Medvedev's butt, and the hair, well, I don't know whose, maybe General Gerasimov's. Just take a bit of everything for yourself and put it all together. What's the difference? A Russian in the provinces doesn't even know what Vladimir Putin looks like anyway. A monstrous cloud. You see? That's all there is to it. Putin is starting a campaign to eliminate all those leaders of the former Soviet republics who get in his way and who who refuse to merge back into Russia's orbit. That's the first thing. Aliyev has long since slipped out of control, and he switched sides toward Erdogan. They have a joint army with Turkey, joint intelligence, a joint navy, joint air forces. Everything is shared. Even construction projects are shared. It's obvious that for now, Erdogan doesn't want to get directly involved in a military conflict with Putin. But after Aliyev simply exposed FSB agents, FSB employees, colonels, lieutenant colonels there in Baku who were working under the guise of journalists, propagandists, Margarita Simonian, the Sputnik publication, after that, he has to show that he is capable of retaliating harshly, to show a response, to strike back. And what needs to be done for that? It's necessary to escalate the situation to the limit. The problem is that when Vladimir Putin starts escalating the situation, he can't stop. He can't stop, you see? So basically, this means that ultimately there is a threat that Russia's tanks will move on Baku, but then he will get a harsh response. Then Turkish fighter jets will destroy Russian bases in Crimea. That will happen 100%. Putin doesn't have a second army, and the Turkish army is not the army of some insignificant European country. This is an army that has seen multiple combat operations in the Middle East and Africa. And one that knows how to help, the one that helped Aliyev reclaim Nagorno-Karabakh. This is an army that has fought for decades and has combat experience, with technologies so advanced that Putin couldn't even dream of them. American technologies, the best technologies in the world, and I'm more than sure, and by the way, the Azerbaijani army has Israeli technologies, some of the best in the world. So, if Putin starts anything, the Caucasus will face a major struggle and a big war. And Putin will lose this war here.
This is very important. And you know, Sasha, when we talk about the Pacific Fleet, about what we blew up there, the gas pipeline, I thought that most likely there are a huge number of dormant SBU agents on Russian territory. Well, because to carry out such special operations so far from the borders with Ukraine. But this is serious, Sasha.
The primary sleeper agent involved, I am going to reveal his name to you right now. Dasha. The main SBU sleeper agent on Russian territory is Vladimir Rudolfovich Solovyov. Very soon, I'm sure, Malyuk will hit him with something Ukrainian, I don't know, explosives, a drone, or something else. And at the next award ceremony with Putin, everything will blow up. Along with the Kremlin, along with Putin, the main sleeper agent is Vladimir Solovyov. He's all about the money, all about the money. So honestly, buying him off is a piece of cake. He's been bought a long time ago, he's been primed for a long time, and he's been ready for anything for a long time. You see Vladimir Solovyov. Recently, he was even ready to defend Israel with weapons, but then, of course, he forgot about that promise. But I think the main agent Ukraine has there is, of course, Solovyov. I'm joking, obviously, friends. But you never know. Someone might actually think that Solovyov has long been recruited by Ukrainian intelligence.
Friends, that was some tough trolling sarcasm. Our show is pretty sarcastic like that.
So, Dasha, what am I trying to say? What I want to say is that really, in Russia, there are a huge number of, like you said, sleepers, sleeper agents, and so on, partisans. And many American publications have written about this, and they were very surprised. American and British intelligence were very surprised because it turned out that the Ukrainians had infiltrated much more effectively. The entire Russian intelligence community, all the security agencies, the Kremlin, and so on, are saturated with Ukrainian agents because, as it turns out, over the decades, people made contacts and always worked in the interests of Ukraine, not Russia. And this is a big problem. What was happening was Operation Spiderweb. This is because there are these kinds of sleeper agents. What happened with the Pacific Fleet and continues to happen is also because there are such sleeper agents. Ukraine has thousands of sleepers in Russia. I'm afraid to imagine what would happen if they all woke up at once. And I think that there is this goal in place to make sure they all wake up. I think such a goal will be set. And there will be a big boom. Yes, that's how you usually say it. There will be a big boom all across Russia.
By the way, dear viewers, people always ask why I use that word. Friends, if you're fans of quality cinema, there's a brilliant film, The Fifth Element, by Luc Besson, where the main heroine, the fifth element, who saved the whole world, used to say this phrase, boom bada boom. That's where it's from. Because everyone is curious about why it's pronounced that way. Sasha, about the boom bada booms. What else do I want to discuss with you? We see that Donald Trump, for the first time, has said that he is dissatisfied with Putin. But in general, this rhetoric is rather strange for him. The whole world is discussing their homoerotic relationship during their honeymoon period. Does this mean that soon American deep penetration bombs will attack the bunker? Putin's bunker, or not just yet?
This means that in the near future, Donald Trump will have to give everything to Ukraine because there is simply no other option left. Putin pissed his pants, took them off in front of Trump, waved his genitals around, and slapped Trump on the cheeks with them. And he did it publicly because right after the call, which Trump was unhappy about, Putin went ahead and struck one of the largest attacks across the entire territory of Ukraine, including Kiev. And he struck everywhere he could, even at the Polish consulate, just to show the Europeans that he didn't care about any of them. Both Trump and the Europeans. And after that, of course, Trump doesn't know what to do. He's unhappy with the conversation, but what did he expect? Did he think Putin would listen to him? No. Did he think Putin would turn away from China? No. We all saw who is orchestrating the war, who is the main player in this war. He thought that Putin would back down and say, fine, lift the sanctions from me and I'll agree to everything. I'll sign any agreement, arrangement, memorandum, and so on with Ukraine and Zelensky. No, but as far as I understand, that wasn't the case with us. Russia has publicly stated that if America stops helping Ukraine and Western American support stops coming to Ukraine, but primarily weapons, then they are all ready to sit down at the negotiating table and there will be peace as soon as tomorrow. Negotiations between Putin and Zelensky in Geneva, the signing of a peace treaty, together with Trump, without Trump, with whom? Nothing like that will happen. That is not in Vladimir Putin's plans. But does Trump want this or not? Right now, he's thinking about the Patriots, already blaming everything on this poor, half-drunk Hicks. That's the Minister of Defense, a Fox News journalist who for the third time has gotten himself into trouble, into some stories, very strange ones. So it's clear that Trump made this decision. But there is pressure. There is pressure from Americans, from the American elite. There is pressure from the American media, pressure from American industrialists, and because of Baron Prom, there is pressure from American financiers, as well as pressure from congressmen and senators. And Trump was left not just in the minority, but one-on-one, and right next to him as well. And he has a crazy guy just like him, who's creating a new party and wants to snatch some power in the morning. So what is he supposed to do? He urgently needs to become both kind and a hawk and help Ukraine. And very soon we will see all the missiles that are aimed at Ukraine's industry. Yes, they wanted to organize this pause against Ukraine and the Europeans together, just the two of them. Yes, Trump plans to pull out of Europe and Ukraine and hand it all over to Putin. This entire vast territory, the space of the European bloc, the European continent. Why? Let me explain. Because everyone will be fighting in Europe and Trump will be sponsoring it all. And he'll sell weapons to everyone, give out money, bargain with everyone, and destroy Europe. He is, as he sees it, main geopolitical competitor. Not China, not Russia. He considers Europe to be his main rival on the globe. But in the near future, Trump's plans will be neutralized and collapse. Of course, difficult times await us. Of course, there will be a turbulent situation. Of course, everything we're witnessing now is very complicated. Putin will take advantage of, or rather try to take advantage of, this window of opportunity. But he has little time, and he has no money, and he has big problems. And on top of everything else, Dasha, soon hellish sanctions will be imposed, whether Trump wants it or not. And Putin definitely won't get off easy.
My God, this is just a wonderful ending. Welcome, join us in the comments, write everything you think about this, about our tandem, about our duet, and everything you think about Sasha Demchenko's suggestions. Sasha, the final word is yours. Thank you. Say something to our audience for the finale.
Friends, hang in there. Everything will be all right. Putin won't take away our hope. Glory to Ukraine. Until we meet again, goodbye.
Glory to the heroes.